It is Albuquerque Real Estate Talk with Tigo and Tracy Venturi of the Venturi Group of Real Broker here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Tracy, first and foremost, we have a big event going on today. We want to let people know about.
So until noon, so hurry up, right?
Yeah. So
we have our e-waste recycling event here at our office, 1119 Alameda Boulevard Northwest, right near Rio Grande. Why don't you plan to bring your e-waste to us, drop it off on the curb, and go over to the open space and go for a walk along the river?
There's going to be a lot of people out. Beautiful weekend. River's running high still, which is nice. So I just wanted to get that out right away. It is
because
episode number 449 or recording 449 for us. 9 years of radio show. It's June 3rd, 2023. So if you're watching this on recording, sorry you missed the e-waste event. So it's just something we're doing. If you, I know I have a closet full of stuff that I can't bring myself to get rid of, and I don't want to throw it in a dumpster. So it's an opportunity to clean out some of that stuff. So
that's right. So
awesome.
Come on by. We'd love to see you for a minute as you kind of come through the parking lot. You don't have to make it an epic stop. Unless you bring us donuts and coffee or something.
There is that.
Although you don't like donuts.
For sure. And Tracy, if somebody wants to get a hold of us, how do they get a hold of us?
Sure. Give us a ring, 448-8888. That's the best way. Obviously, our website, welcomehomeabq.com, which is a great resource. Tigo spends a lot of time putting a lot of great information out there that's really helpful for home buyers and home sellers.
Well, the most market data anywhere by far. It's so funny. I have real estate people. I was at a apartment association event here not too long ago, and somebody came and said, "Oh man, you've got the best data on your website. Oh, I go to you all the time to find out what's going on in the housing market." So I appreciate that. I mean, that's what I put it out there for. Tracy, man, there is so much real estate news. There's local in particular I want to address. We've got new housing market data for the Albuquerque area since we're in a new month. We've got the May data, and it's pretty much right what I expected it to be, but we can get into that. There was a bill proposed in the U.S. Senate to deal with housing inventory to bring more homes on the market. We'll talk about that, and a few other things. But the big one is this Monday, the 5th of June. And again, if you're watching on recording, sorry, but you probably already know the answer to this, but the Albuquerque City Council is going to be voting on a proposal that's been working its way through for quite a while now, dealing with zoning and making some changes, or another way to say it is unrestricting some of the restrictions around
some zoning.
And Tracy, you've been digging into it, and what do people need to know about this?
Wait, are we jumping right in?
Of course we are.
I really wanted to talk about houses on the market.
Wait. Let's have fun. Let's talk about some great, because we've got that one that you just put on the market right down the street from our office here on the other side of the river from our office on Alameda.
Right, on Candace Lane. Candace.
I was talking about
Lucille. Yes, Lucille. Lucille is a property on 1.22 acres. It's on the south side of Alameda, just west of the river. So it's like North Valley, but it's
west of the river.
But it's only, just barely west of the river. So Lucille, it's $725,000. It's a really beautiful ranch house and an extra building that was a garage. It's now a workshop with living space upstairs that they use as a studio, and did some homeschooling there. It's got some covered area for stable. It's all fenced. It's got beautiful cottonwood trees. So really special property. So if you're interested in that one on Lucille, give us a ring and we can figure out how you can view that house. We have another one that's going to be open Saturday and Sunday. Open house Saturday, 11 to 1, open Sunday, 1 to 3 at 2020 Duke City. And that house is in Volterra neighborhood, which is right next to Four Hills and the Air Force Base, Kirtland, Sandia area.
Very
south end of
Wantabo. Yeah.
Yep. And that one's just a hair under $500,000. It's a 5-bedroom, large D.R. Horton home that was built in 2021. So really great opportunity to view that home if you're in the market for something like that. I know I've got a bunch to talk about today. We listed a piece of land in the near North Valley, near Griegos and Rio Grande, in a really beautiful little subdivision there. The address is 1808 Calle Barbarita, for that vacant land. It's listed at 189.9.
I think it's interesting because you think about North Valley. So this is Griegos and Rio Grande, basically, and it's just this little pocket neighborhood that's just extraordinary.
Really is. It's got beautiful lush trees and center medians and interesting style homes.
That's one of the things that's cool about Albuquerque. We've got so many unique little pocket neighborhoods. You drive around like Phoenix, for example, and there's a lot of just big master plan neighborhoods, one after another. But Albuquerque does have some uniqueness in these little pockets of little areas all over the place that are pretty cool.
Yeah,
So,
and maybe Phoenix has them too, but if we were doing real estate there, we might know about them.
that's true.
Because really, when we think about Albuquerque, a lot of people don't see all these little pocket neighborhoods like we do in the real estate community.
True.
So anyway, 2375 Margaret Lane in Bosque Farms is on the market. Another property, just under a half acre, nice lush area of the valley there in Bosque Farms. We also listed some land this past week in Bosque Farms, 2.66 acres that has a little sliver of frontage on the main road through Bosque Farms, listed at $530,000. And Candace Lane is coming down the road. Candace is in Riverfront Estates, west side of the river near Paseo and Coors, sort of across the street from the Target there on an acre. It's a horses allowed neighborhood, and house is $1,150,000. Really gorgeous home with extra garages. I think 7 cars fit in the garages there. There's the main garage, which is a 3-car garage, and then there's an extra garage that's been added on to the house along with a guest area with its own living area, kitchenette and things. And then I think that one holds 4 cars. It's 37 deep and 20 something wide. So probably a 7-car garage capacity. So if you've got some toys and you need a beautiful luxury home, that one's in the works.
Awesome.
It's
lots of stuff coming. That's great.
Coming soon right now.
Yeah, we need from a market standpoint, we do need more homes on the market in Albuquerque. There's not as many as we normally see. This year has been extraordinarily low, even compared to last year, which was extraordinarily low.
So that was the segue right into stats, my little statomatic.
Gosh, I wonder how that happened.
Yeah.
So the thing that's kind of interesting is if we look at the number of homes on the market in Albuquerque and we look at the May numbers, we're actually down from last year. And there's a couple different ways you can slice and dice this, the data. Is it for the entire month, or was on the market for one day? But basically previously owned homes, so resale homes, down about 25%, the number of homes being listed. New construction homes up 44% though. So, there's this disconnect between new construction and resale. And like we've been saying, I've been saying, and a lot of people have been saying for a long time, is the number of people, reselling or selling their homes is down quite a bit. People just aren't, putting their homes on the market quite as much as we've seen.
So those numbers of 44% up for new construction versus 25% down, is that what you said?
Yeah.
For resale properties.
And again, to clarify, if you're just picking this up, I'm not talking about prices. We're talking about
numbers,
the number of homes for sale.
Right. So what I take from that when you say that is I think about the median sales price. So we're talking about the numbers of properties, but median sales price is up substantially over
let's talk
a few
about
years,
that.
right? And that's probably a large part in response to new home construction is higher priced.
So,
okay, tell me.
Thank you. Thanks
I'm
for
just
that.
guessing
Thank
here.
you for that tee up. That was awesome. So let's look at prices. First and foremost, the headline is for May 2023, Albuquerque home prices closed sales hit an all-time high. Number of, of the homes that sold in May, the median sale price was at, let me give you a real clear number here. I'm going to just look at single family homes in the greater Albuquerque area that are single family detached homes. I'm not going to
no condos, no townhomes.
Yeah, I just want so we can get a real clear comparison here. The previously owned homes, home prices up 3.2% median. Again, we're talking median versus last year. New construction homes down 17% from last year. Again, median price. Across the board, it's up about 3%. Now, and you know, because I already did the data on this, or I mentioned this to you, is that there's this distinction on the size of home, right?
Right. So as soon as you told me that prices for new homes were down, I said, well, of course, we've been to a lot of home builder meetings and talked to a lot of home builders, and they're saying to adjust and try to keep prices more affordable. They're trying to pare down the size of the home so that they can get them more affordable. So that's why the price of new homes is down
And you
17%.
said that, so I ran the data.
And am I right?
And of course you're right. Is yes, the median price of new construction homes are down, but the size of new construction homes are down as well from last year. So that's the short of it. I want to dig into the data, but it's interesting. Just a couple other things on the sales data. For May, number of sales down 25%. Previously owned homes down 30%. New construction homes up 25%. But the thing that's interesting is just there's just less home selling,
Right.
and we've been seeing that now really as an ongoing trend. The number of homes selling has been dropping. Let me look at the chart here. If we go back, let me just look at this on a basically we had a peak back in 2021, and ever since then, year over year, and well, actually, no, into 2022, and then in the halfway through the year last year, just the number of homes selling started dropping. There's a lot of reasons for that. We've talked about the whole the rate lock thing, and that people with 3%, 3.5%, 4% mortgages aren't too motivated to go spend more for a home and pay a 7%, 6.5% mortgage. So,
right.
So
which mortgage rates, that's kind of the new normal. I think people have gotten used to that.
It is. There was a lot of mortgage, just another news thing that was happening in the last couple of weeks where mortgage rates went up again. Mortgage rates are very volatile and have been now for a while. They were in the mid sixes. They went up to over 7. Now they're back down under 7. And the reason they went up was all this debate about the national or the budget thing. What was it? Oh, the Congress. They couldn't come to a decision on the budget, and there was this big debate, and there was this chance that the U.S. would default on their obligations, and all of that really sent the mortgage bond market and the bond markets in general into a little bit of a frenzy, which caused mortgage rates to go up last week, but they've pulled back a little bit now. So,
right.
Anyway, we're kind of in that range.
Crisis averted.
Well, yeah,
got that one. For 2 more years, we've kicked it down the road.
Anybody that's lived a while knows that those seems like those crises come up every couple of years, and seem to always figure it out in the end.
Yeah.
Although there was that one year during the Clinton years where the government did get shut down.
Right.
That was when Newt Gingrich was the speaker and Clinton was president, and
I think some of the people that work for the government weren't getting paid, and people like trying to buy houses that had to have verification of employment that worked for government or the military. It was a mess.
There's I don't want to get into the debate on that, but yeah, it would have created some issues, let's just say.
Speaking of new homes, I know you're on the stats thing. I've been out and about quite a bit lately, and there's a lot of beautiful new homes going up in various parts of the city and the metro area. So Los Lunas being one area where there's a lot of really beautiful homes. A lot of people choosing Los Lunas. We've got obviously the west side, Rio Rancho, some infill in the Northeast Heights. So if you're interested in learning more about new homes, give us a ring, 448-8888, and we can show you the options and kind of give you the rundown on what's available in the market and where they are. Obviously, we can represent you with new construction or resale construction, land, whatever you need. So let us know how we can help you with that.
In 2020, I said $200,000 homes are going to be a thing of the past in the Albuquerque area, and obviously that's true. I mean, yeah, you can buy. You don't. There's very few of them. Let me put it that way, and they're not much there.
Right.
And then last year we were saying, the $300,000 new home is going away. However, There
Are
are
a
a
few.
few places where you can get a new home for under 300,000.
Right.
Los Lunas mainly though, right? You would go, to that community, which is a booming community right
Right.
now.
Right. A lot
Uh,
of great amenities there.
yeah,
One of our favorite restaurants is there.
that's right.
Yeah.
Riscos.
Risco's Altamar.
Yeah.
Makes me hungry.
So Tracy, okay,
All right.
we're
The
gonna go back.
the
We're gonna
IDO, the thing
the
you were
idea.
trying to get to. I kept diverting you.
Yeah. So all right, let me set it up, and you can give me what you found, which is the Albuquerque's got this
City
initiative
Council.
that, well, the city in general, the mayor's office, they've got this housing forward initiative, realizing that we don't have enough housing units, especially affordable housing in the community, and they're looking for solutions. Now, I've got some ideas for them, which might involve their, planning and zoning and permitting and inspection
Being
process.
staffed and ready to respond.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's
Different than what they're talking
yeah.
about.
So there is a proposal that's going to be debated on Monday, correct?
Right. So City Council will review Ordinance 0-22-54, which will change outdated zoning obstacles affecting the housing supply. So it's basically, like you said, removing obstacles to construction or to growth, right? To help meet their goal of creating 5,000 new units of housing by 2025. And here's some of the bullet points of that. They want to excuse me, allow for conversion of motels, hotels, commercial office spaces to be long-term housing units. So that would be zone change, right? To change it from like a motel to residential. Allow for 2-unit homes or duplexes permissively on R1 lots. So those R1 are zoned for 1 residential unit per lot, but
Right.
they're saying let's allow 2, right? They would also are proposing to allow for the development of accessory dwelling units or ADUs or casitas as we know them locally on R1 lots. So that would be that second
And just so people know, R1 is a zoning
code
term,
class.
code, and most single family homes are R1 zoning.
Right. So that it's also including create a parking requirement for reduction for affordable housing multifamily properties, modestly increase some building height restrictions where appropriate, and proposed amendments in IDO annual update process details. So the proposed changes are something we've seen going on in other parts of the country, like Minneapolis did that. They made it where you can build another home on a residential property already.
In this case, I believe it's up to 750 square feet is this
Is what they're
ADU,
saying?
accessory dwelling unit, ADU, we'll just call it, which is the term. And it is very common in other markets.
So-
And needless to say, Tracy, there's a lot of pushback by some neighborhood associations, some people that feel like it's going to change the neighborhoods, that you're going to have all these rental units in people's backyards. So clearly,
Which-
obviously, is a hot button issue for a lot of people.
Totally hot button. And some of the benefits are increased values for people who probably put a second unit on their property, right? You can build it for so much and it makes your property worth more because of that second unit. Helps out a lot of families who need a place for another family member.
I think that's where this is really going to make an impact, is for the granny flats or the in-law suite, or the place where you want to have your elderly family member, for example,
Or your child.
or
Or a relative, nephew,
and
whatever.
they want their own space. They can't afford to go find something else. Now they can, live with the family, but have their own space. I think we're going to see some of that. I think that's where it fits in. Go ahead.
One other thing that I think is a benefit. I mean, obviously it's going to increase taxable value for revenue for, the county, the city, but also it really helps families who have this need to have that family member with them. It can solve a lot of problems that a lot of family members have with housing and homelessness and affordability issues.
To be clear, though, this is not restricted to just family members. The way
No, it is not.
I understand it is you can
Yeah,
basically put an ADU in your at your property, and you could even rent it out.
right, for sure. And a lot of the ordinances currently say if you have that guest house, so to speak, or casita that was allowed, it can't have like a full kitchen. It can't have a cooktop or something, which makes it harder to rent out. But we know from showing houses that all over the city, there are guest houses where they've been modified after they got permitted, or people are using hot plates instead of a real cooktop, which to me seems like a lot bigger fire danger than having a regular
Yeah,
cooktop, right?
yeah.
So,
It's the kitchen that's the
legalize
kicker.
that
Yeah,
part
yeah.
and make sure that it's good. The other thing that's really interesting, Tigo, to me about it is if this passes, it makes more local landlords. It helps people who need that extra income. If they can afford to have that accessory dwelling put on their property, it makes local landlords. It's not some big corporation coming in and buying up all these properties, and then they have kind of more say on what the rents are for them.
Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That's an interesting take on that. One thing I think we need to clarify in this whole, in the other thing, I think you said it, but changing R1 zoning, again, we're talking about Albuquerque is going to be debating this on Monday the 5th at
Right.
city council meeting in the evening. I think it starts at 5 o'clock. And
Yeah.
the proposal is to remove restrictions on R1 zoning to allow for up to 2 units. So that could be an ADU, but it also could be a duplex.
Right.
So they could tear down a single family home and build a duplex on that same lot. That was one of the things that I heard in some of the public comment was people are like, oh no, these developers are going to come in and build all these duplexes. And well, the economics of that probably doesn't work in most
Most
places.
cases.
And so, you know,
So
but
Tigo,
in Denver, that was not uncommon where they would
rip down a house.
scrape a house and
Right.
build a multi-unit on the same property.
I know we were working with a builder here locally who did quite a few of those in Denver back in 2005, 2006.
So one thing I want to make clear on this whole ADU thing, though, in this
Accessory dwelling unit.
R1 zoning rechange. If you're in a homeowners association,
say the
okay,
same
good. All right, let's
thing.
get to that. So homeowners associations, and if you have CC&Rs,
Right.
so
Covenants and restrictions.
that are filed with the city. So explain that.
So I was thinking about the lot I just talked about that we listed in the near North Valley, right?
Okay.
It's in a neighborhood where there's already existing homes, all R1, but there is a homeowners association there. It's a small little enclave of beautiful homes, but there is an HOA, and whatever the HOA rules are is what would dictate that land. So if city says R1 is now, you can have an ADU, there's still the covenants and restrictions and of the HOA.
You and I have read many HOA, bylaws and CC&R, rules over the years. And it's very common that there is a restriction to one single family,
Right.
Property per lot.
Right.
And so, if you're worried about what's happening in your neighborhood and you don't want it in your neighborhood, and I get that, is find out what your CC&R says, find out what your HOA rules say so that you have a good idea. And it may already be restricted in your neighborhood.
And so just to kind of wrap this up, there are people who want to go and speak publicly at this hearing or at this meeting. And to do that, you have to pre-register.
Yeah.
You must register if you want to speak. So to do that, you would need to do it ahead of time. And there's a link on the city website for you to sign up to speak. I know they give everybody general public comment there, like the first 30 people who sign up or whatever get to speak. So if that's important to you, make sure you get on the agenda early.
It's going to be a late night because there's going to be a lot of debate, but they limit it to 2 minutes. So, you can only get up there and you can't
keep
pontificate and go on and on and on.
We've listened to some of those before from afar and gotten online and watched the council meetings, and they limit people. They stop them.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I know the one where they're trying to restrict, put rent control in, and there's been a few things that dealt with rental properties for sure. There was one where they wanted to create a database of every single rental door in the whole city.
Good thing we're moved on from that.
Yeah,
So
and that one did not pass. Just it would have created, and in my opinion, a lot of additional problems and not solved many problems.
Yeah. So you said there's a national in the
Yeah,
Senate?
yeah. The reason I wanted to bring this one up more than anything is that this is clearly a national issue. This housing shortage, the number of people not selling their homes. It's being recognized everywhere. This is not an Albuquerque problem. And in fact, Albuquerque is in better shape. And I want to get on the affordability thing before we wrap up today, because there's some good data, at least for Albuquerque, on that. So I've heard people floating ideas out there where you give a one-time tax, basically deferment, or basically waive your capital gains if you sell a rental property, for example. So let's say you're a property owner, you have a rental property, and if you sell it, you're going to get hit with a $50,000 tax consequence or $25,000, whatever, right? Well, they're going to say, well, if you have a rental property and you sell it and it's in this price range and blah, 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 whatever it is, they're going to waive. Now that's just a talked about.
Yeah, there's no bill
talked about.
So the other one that's really in the works is the one to reduce your capital gains. So since 1997, a single person selling a house.
You read the story.
Oh, of course I read the story. They have
still in my thunder
capital gains waiver of 250,000.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't pay tax on it. So if your house was 100,000 and you're selling it for 350, you don't pay tax on that 250.
Right.
As a single owner.
Right.
If it's a couple that owns a property right now, the limit is 500,000.
Right.
Right. And it's been that way since 1997. And there's been nothing adjusted for inflation. So there's a bill. Go ahead. Since you wanted to talk, you wanted to talk about
already
it.
You nailed it. Basically, they want to double it. They want to go 500 and 1 million. So 500 for single and a million for a couple, on that, to incentivize people to sell. And this is a bill it's bipartisan. It's a Democrat from California and a Republican from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And it's working way through it. The main thing I wanted to talk about is that this stuff is being talked about all over the place. It's not just Albuquerque. It's not just New Mexico. It's the entire country. In again, other markets, it's a bigger problem than what we have here, the affordability challenges.
Right. And so a similar bill failed a year or so ago, but at this time there are more people that are co-sponsoring and are behind it. So we'll see. I hope that goes through. And if you're single and you need to sell a home, you hope it goes through too. And if for some reason, either way, you might want to decide to get married really quickly so you can take the higher
I don't know. You got to weigh that's a cost benefit analysis that you really got to do some deep work on that.
Yeah, that could go south really bad. I know. I just thought it was kind of funny, the thought of, well, I'm going to get married real quick so I can have a capital gains limit that's a lot higher on selling my house.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I saw something. This came from the market analysis people at Zillow, and what they looked at was rent affordability. We've talked about affordability in Albuquerque and how we're much better than other markets, especially in the Southwest, right? So Albuquerque is better than Phoenix. Albuquerque is better than Colorado Springs, better than Tucson, better than even El Paso, because El Paso wages are low. That's for purchase. But rent, the way they measure this, I thought was interesting, is how many minimum wage jobs would you have to afford the median rent. And Albuquerque, it's 2, which is one of the best. Phoenix, let's see, let me give you some examples. Las Vegas, it's almost 3. Let's see, New York City, it's only 3. Well, that they have rent control there. That's the only place where rent control actually worked. San Jose is 3.5. US as a whole is 3.8. So we're actually below the national
almost by
average.
half.
So you have to have 3.8 jobs in the national average.
That means
minimum wage jobs to afford the median rent.
So that means here in Albuquerque area, it's 2. So if you are, have a roommate or a spouse and you're both working at least minimum wage, you can afford that rent.
And in El Paso, it's 3.2. So again, we're better than El Paso, even though El
Good.
Paso is less expensive. Wages are lower.
Okay, well, we got to
I know
wrap.
we're out of time.
So
Here, wait. Let me tell you who the number one most unaffordable market is. You're not going to be surprised. This is for rent.
yes.
Austin, Texas.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Five.
We have
You have to
friends
have
that are renting there.
5.1 minimum wage jobs to afford the median rent in
Wow.
Austin. And I, well, we don't have time today, but I'm going to get into. I got a bunch of good rental data on the Albuquerque market. There are a lot of rental properties in the pipeline. If in I
Right.
knew there were a lot. I didn't realize how many. There's actually 5,300.
You just couldn't stop.
I
You
know,
had
I
to go
couldn't.
there.
I couldn't.
5,300.
I know. Sorry, Eddie. We went over just a little bit, but 5,300 doors, basically rental units in the pipeline,
Being
either
built.
under construction or some phase of construction in the Albuquerque area.
And there
So-
you have it. E-waste recycling is going on right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Saturday till noon, our office.
Yep.
Drop by.
Drop by. It's Tigo and Tracy Venturi with the Venturi Group of Real Broker in Albuquerque, New Mexico. You can call us at 505-448-8888 and visit our website at welcomehomeabq.com. Thanks for watching. Take care.